In this video, we're going to learn the 5 things you can do during an anxiety attack that will help you calm down instantly. As someone who has struggled with PTSD herself, throughout the years, I've been through plenty of healing modalities, and I've broken everything down into this simple video. So if you're interested, please stick around to the end because there's something that you won't want to miss in here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Michaela, and I help people heal their traumas and live a more expansive life. There's nothing worse than having to go through an anxiety attack while the rest of life is still going on. Maybe you're having symptoms of your chest palpitating, or maybe it feels like somebody's stabbing you in the heart. That's the worst, and you feel like you can't even breathe. Disassociation symptoms are super normal. Typically what happens with an anxiety attack is all these things are bubbling out, and our body is trying to tell us that we need to deal with this emotional issue. The first thing that will help you is free writing. Free writing is just basically grabbing a journal and writing anything that comes to mind. You can write about what happened that day, how you were feeling, anything that comes to mind. And practicing not worrying about what anyone else would think, letting go of the judgment of yourself and just writing everything you think, everything you feel, even if it is as simple as, I had to let the dog out. And for some reason that might have had an emotional charge for you because it was like the camel that broke the straw that broke the camel's back. Sometimes you might feel like this is a waste of your time. Why am I doing this? But typically what happens is by the time you get to that second or third page of filling out your journal, you either come to some type of resolution or you start to at least all that clutter that is up in your head finally gets released. And although it might only alleviate some of the symptoms, it's a lot better than dealing with it all swimming around in your head. Getting it out onto paper brings so much peace that you will be amazed. This is something that I do regardless. It's the first thing that I do in the morning is I write down everything I think about, whether it was the dream that I had before or what happened the night before. And just getting this out onto paper, I've learned to become my own friend and listen to my own self. And if you get stuck in what you're writing, I always like to ask the question, why? So if what broke the camel's back was letting your dog out, well, ask yourself why. And maybe you could say, well, because I'm overly stressed. And then we ask ourselves, okay, so why are we overly stressed? And then you can kind of list everything that's going on in your life. And then once you list all that, well, why does this bring me an emotional charge? And you get down to, you ask why enough, and you finally eventually get to the core root of what's really going on. And when you get to the core root of that, you're able to at least become more aware of it in your day-to-day life. When I was first starting out in my own journey, I never had journaled before. This is not something that was very easy for me. And I started to journal a lot about anything and everything that came to mind. And over the years, I have journals and journals and journals stacked up. And I have learned to become my own best friend throughout the process. There's so many negative things in my journal, and then there's so many positives, and it's really cool to record everything that happens in your own life and to be able to look back at where you were before and being your true authentic self and writing, wow, I was really negative and unhappy at that point in my life. And then you're able to read your journal up until your present day, and you see just how much the growth that has happened. It's a beautiful thing. The second thing that will help you is acceptance. Accepting what is happening in your reality in the current. So if that's your external, if somebody did something that you don't like, or if you are feeling a certain way, instead of saying, oh, this shouldn't be the way that it is, allow it to be. Allow it to be. A lot of times you see people with anxiety saying, I shouldn't feel this way. I feel bad because I feel like this. And what that does is it causes more anxiety for us. So if you're dealing with an anxiety attack, this is completely normal and it's okay. And to allow your space to feel into it is extremely healing. Instead of saying, oh, we shouldn't, it's almost like a form of not allowing ourselves to feel that way, or repression. And when we do that, all we do is shove more and more emotion down. And our bodies, what this anxiety attack is trying to do is like a volcano. It's under pressure because all these emotions are coming up to the surface. And by the time we have this anxiety attack, we're just, it explodes. It explodes and we're like, oh, where did this come from? And what it is that we have not dealt with the underlying issues that were building up pressure all this time. And so when we practice acceptance, it doesn't mean that we have to be okay. I'll give you guys an example. When it's raining outside, non-acceptance looks like it shouldn't be raining. I hate when it's raining out because I can't do the groceries as easily. It makes me really cold. I don't like it. Just being negative about the situation. Or when it rains, we could have the perspective of, it's raining. It's raining. And it's simple. It's simple. And when we accept the way that we feel and we accept the external world and everything that's going on in it, it helps us to have more of a peace and to understand that it is okay. This allowance of letting ourselves feel these emotions is exactly what's going to heal you. Which brings me to my third. When you're going through an anxiety attack, grounding is an amazing tool to use. And what grounding looks like is using your 5 senses to feel exactly what's going on in the present. Sometimes this isn't easy when you are so heightened, but practicing it can help you to relieve that. So I like to, if I don't want to close my eyes at the time, I'll look around and I'll see everything that I can see. I see, green trees, I see a house, I see a red car, anything that you can see, you kind of list it off to yourself. And then you go to your hearing, any sounds that you can hear. So if you can hear the AC running, kids playing, dogs barking, just list that. And just observe these things instead of, oh, I wish the kids would be quiet, or I wish the dog would be quiet. Just accept it and just hear it. And then go to feeling. Feel how it feels to be standing up. What does the weight feel like in your feet? What does the weight feel like when you're sitting down? Do you have clothes on? How do those clothes feel? So we had our sight, our hearing. So smells is another one. So any smells that you might be able to smell, getting some essential oil, a calming essential oil like lavender, and putting that on when you can really help you to ground into this present moment. And then last but not least is taste. So if you maybe taste some coffee or some tea, and those things will really help you to ground. If you are open to somebody that you are close to, sometimes this is a little bit difficult to incorporate just myself, but when I have a significant other or partner around that can kind of help me, and you explain this to them, can you help me ground? And they'll ask, okay, what do you see? And then you can kind of list it off. Being able to talk and express it does help you to stay on focus, because when you are in an anxiety attack, your brain will want to go every which way other than exactly what you're doing. So having an accountability partner will really help you to be able to kind of ground yourself. 7 years ago, I went to treatment, and it was for drug and alcohol abuse, and their basis was to always practice grounding. There was actually a matter of 6 weeks where all we did was work with one other individual, and we would look around and they tell our partner what we would see, and we would instruct our partners to get up and go and touch a wall, ask how it feels, and kind of an exercise like that. And after these 6 weeks was over, I noticed that I was the most present and the most happy I had ever been in my life, being in a treatment facility. And what was happening was because I was so present and I was so focused, that I wasn't able to think so much about maybe what that other person was thinking, or this traumatic experience that I had in my life, or the way that things should be, because I was so grounded and rooted in what was happening. My fourth thing is meditation. And when people hear meditation, they always freak out. Oh, I'm not a good meditator because my brain is always going off. And the whole point of meditation is to become aware of our thoughts. That's it. Thoughts still happen. And to me, I've been meditating for years now. They still come up, but it's a matter of what we do with it. And when you are in an anxiety attack, sometimes it can feel like, if I'm just sitting in a meditation, like, why the hell am I here? But kind of like the free writing, when you write, remember when you write, and the first few pages, it might sound like, just jumbled up, whatever. It's the same with meditation. Your brain is going to be everywhere, but as you make yourself sit there and you start to feel everything, eventually you can give it a half hour, even give yourself permission to take a nap, but be meditating in that. 9 times out of 10, by the time like I get myself down and relaxed enough and to sit through a meditation and even take a nap afterwards, when I wake up, I feel a lot better. The way I recommend meditating is to use grounding, like we spoke about before, kind of listening to everything you can hear, feeling everything you can feel. And the big thing is feeling your emotions instead of going off and, oh, this person and that and the way I feel, all this mind chatter. Really focus on where that energy is in your body, because your body is trying to tell you something. And when you start to feel, a lot of times my anxiety is between my throat into my chest, and I can feel that. And allowing myself to feel that, and then titrate, maybe find a place where there's a little bit more relief. So if maybe your feet are relaxed, then put all your energy into your feet and feel that relaxation. And then do that for a little while, and then come back up and allow yourself to feel all, maybe the knots, wherever it is. Everybody kind of holds their trauma or their anxiety in different areas. But as you start to feel that, you'll start to feel this energy. What for me, like what once was right here, now is maybe going down through my arms, and then the energy will come back up. And you, as you follow it, what your body is doing is it's trying to tell you a story. It's trying to communicate to you. And when you feel through that, you're actually releasing whatever you've been holding on to. And maybe you will come up with this thought, like this intuitive idea or this thought. And what happens is that is your body trying to communicate to you, hey, this is the red flag. This is what needs working on. It is absolutely amazing. I'll give you guys a little bit of an example. I was 6 months pregnant, and I had, the baby started getting diagnosed with all sorts of diseases. She wasn't going to make it. And I ended up giving birth to her, and she wasn't alive. She didn't make it. And like with most parents, that was one of the most difficult things that I ever had to go through in my own life. I'm giving a stillbirth. And I was getting really heavy into meditation at this point in my life. And I had enough background to know exactly what to do. And what I started to do was meditate. And I forced myself to sit there for an hour or two every day. And if I had to cry, I allowed myself to cry. I didn't stuff it down. I allowed myself to cry. If I felt like screaming, I allowed myself that space to scream. If it felt like sighing, I let myself sigh. And I followed this energy, like you could feel like the knots and the energy in like my heart. And I would follow that. You'll feel it. You'll feel the energy kind of want to move down and up and maybe up to your head, everywhere. And I did that for a long time, maybe like 2 weeks. I forced myself to meditate for an hour. And what eventually happened was I had released that trauma from my body. And although I look back at that time, and yes, it's sad that I did lose my daughter and that, she can't be here with us, I've been able to transform that into my own life. And it has been more healing to me going through that experience than it has been a traumatic experience. I have learned so much on how to handle my own trauma and my own anxiety through that experience that she taught me so much more than she could have ever being here in the physical. So I hope that kind of helps and to inspire you guys too, like that if I can go through, you know, a pretty traumatic thing, that you can feel your emotions too. It is an amazing, amazing thing. Our bodies are so amazing and they're trying to communicate to us all the time. Last but not least, the fifth thing is exercise. And that's something a lot of people don't want to hear. But I'm not talking about getting up at 5 in the morning and working out before you go to work. When you go through this in order of getting everything out on paper and then going into acceptance and grounding and meditating, you will feel a lot less anxiety. You'll feel taken down from that ledge. And then sometimes we want to kind of just sit and relax. But sometimes the best medicine is to get up and to move, even if it's just for 10 minutes. To get your body moving, whatever was left over in that energy in our bodies. When you exercise, when you move your body, you will come back feeling a lot more positive and releasing those endorphins that needed to be released, compared to sitting on a couch or sitting and relaxing. Sometimes movement is the best medicine. Regular exercise does help as well, and if that's something that you want to incorporate, that's great, but I am just talking purely about when you are going through an anxiety attack, what I have used in the past. I am someone who has always seen exercise as a part of my life for the fitness aspect. I have never really played around with the energetic aspect or to help me with my own mental health. And so recently I learned this little trick when starting my own business again. I really want to just stay and I want to focus, and it causes me a lot of anxiety because the rest of the world is going on and they also need my help, but also I want to work on my own business. And so I'm like trying to force and control, which creates a lot of anxiety for me. And one of the best tricks that I have learned just recently is getting up off that couch and moving. I have a dog and he always wants to play, and so I'll go out there for 10 minutes and I'll run around with him and I'll get my body moving, I'll throw the ball for him, and by the time I come back, whatever I feel, that energy just kind of leave my body, and all of a sudden I start to feel good. And it has been transformative in my own life. I feel like once I do that, I am able to show up in my life to be a better mother, to be a better spouse, to be a better friend, and it's all due to that last one. And it's not super demanding. I think we could all find 5 or 10 minutes in our day to dedicate to that. So in conclusion, those 5 things will help you to come down off that ledge, to process those emotions, and for you to end up feeling a lot better than when you started. So for one was free writing. Make sure you write everything, even if it sounds silly. 2 was acceptance, accepting that you feel this way and don't put so much pressure on yourself or others. 3, ground yourself, pay attention to the present moment, what's going on. And if you can't do that, find somebody to help you stay the course and keep you accountable just for a little while you go through this anxiety attack. 4 is meditation. And feeling all these emotions all through your body, trying to stay as present as possible. And then 5, get up and move and do a little exercise, just a little something for you. If you do these 5 things, I guarantee that you are going to walk away feeling much better than when you started. When you're done, comment down below. Let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear. And if it helped, please like, share, and subscribe to help somebody else out there. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.